Today we're reading the second part of out of As Bill Sees It, the references to rationalization. I'll be starting on page 179, Coping with Anger. Few people have been more victimized by resentment than have we alcoholics. A burst of temper could spoil a day, and a well-nursed grudge could make us miserably ineffective. Nor were we ever skillful in separating justified from unjustified anger. As we saw it, our wrath was always justified. Anger, that occasional luxury of more balanced people, could keep us on an emotional jag indefinitely. These dry benders often led straight to the bottle. Nothing pays off like restraint of tongue and pen. We must avoid quick-tempered criticism, furious, power-driven arguments, sulking, and silent scorn. These are emotional booby traps baited with pride and vengefulness. When we are tempted by the bait, we should train ourselves to keep back and think. We can neither think nor act to good purpose. Only the habit of self-restraint has become we can neither think nor act to good purpose until the habit of self-restraint has become automatic.
Okay, 193, the spiritual alibi. Our first attempts at inventories are apt to prove very unrealistic. I used to be a champ at unrealistic self-appraisal. On certain occasions, I wanted to look only at the part of my life which seemed good. Then I would greatly exaggerate whatever virtues I supposed I had attained. Next, I would congratulate myself on the grand job I was doing in AA. Naturally, this generated a terrible hankering for still more accomplishments and still more approval. Was falling straight back into the pattern of my drinking days. Here were the same old goals: power, fame, and applause. Besides, I had the best alibi known, the spiritual alibi. The fact that I really did have a spiritual objective made this utter nonsense seem perfectly right.
197. Where rationalizing leads. You know that our genius for rationalization, you know what our genius for rationalization is. If to ourselves we fully justify one slip, then our rationalizing propensities are almost sure to justify another one, perhaps with a different set of excuses. But one justification leads to another, and presently we are back on the bottle full time. Experience shows all too often that even the controlled pill taker may get out of control. The same crazy rationalizations that once characterized his drinking begin to blight his existence. He thinks that if pills can cure insomnia, so may they cure his worry. Our friends, the doctors, are seldom directly to blame for the desired results we so often experience. Our friends, the doctors, are seldom directly to blame for the dire results we so often experience. It is much too easy for alcoholics to buy these dangerous drugs, and once possessed of them, the drinker is often likely to use them without any judgment whatsoever.
251. Face the music. Don't be too discouraged about that slip. Practically always we drunks learn the hard way. Your idea of moving on to somewhere else may be good or it may not. Perhaps you have got into an emotional or economic jam that can't be well handled where you are. But maybe you are doing just what all of us have done at one time or another. Maybe you are running away. Why don't you try to think that through again carefully? Are you really placing recovery first, or are you making it contingent upon other people, places, or circumstances? You may find it ever so much better to face the music right where you are now, and with the help of the AA program, win through. Before you make a decision, weigh it in these terms.
Okay, 258. Beneath the surface. Some will object to many of the questions that should be answered in a moral inventory because they think their own character defects have not been so glaring. To these, it can be suggested that a conscientious examination is likely to reveal the very defects the objectionable questions are concerned with. Because our surface record hasn't looked too bad, we have frequently been abashed to find this is so simply because we have buried these self-same defects deep down in us under thick layers of self-justification. Those were the defects that finally ambushed us into alcoholism and misery.
267, behind our excuses. As excuse makers and rationalizers, we drunks are champions. It is the business of the psychiatrist to find the deeper causes for our conduct. Though uninstructed in psychiatry, we can have a little time in AA. We can, after a little time in AA, see that our motives have not been what we thought they were, and that we have been motivated by forces previously unknown to us. Therefore, we ought to think with the deepest respect, interest, and profit upon the example set us by psychiatry. Spiritual growth through the practice of AA's 12 steps, plus the aid of a good sponsor, can usually reveal the most of the deeper reasons for our character defects, at least to a degree that meets our practical needs. Nevertheless, we should be grateful that our friends in psychiatry have so strongly emphasized the necessity to search for false and often unconscious motivations.
Okay. 270. Honesty and recovery. In taking an inventory, a member might consider questions such as these. How did my selfish pursuit of the sex relation damage other people and me? What people were hurt and how badly? Just how did I react at the time? Did I burn with guilt? Or did I insist that I was the pursued and not the pursuer, and thus absolve myself? How have I reacted to frustration in sexual matters? When denied, did I become vengeful or depressed? Did I take it out on other people? If there was rejection or coldness at home, did I use that as a reason for promiscuity? Let no alcoholic say he cannot recover unless he has his family back. His recovery is not dependent upon people. It is dependent upon relationship with God, however he may define him. 279.
279, the fine art of alibis. The majority of AA members have suffered severely from self-justification during their drinking days. For most of us, self-justification was the maker of excuses for drinking and for all kinds of crazy and damaging conduct. We had made the invention of alibis a fine art. We had to drink because times were hard or times were good. We had to drink because at home we were smothered with love or got none at all. We had to drink because at work We were great successes or dismal failures. We had to drink because our nation had won a war or lost a peace. And so it went, ad infinitum. See, our own erratic emotions victimized us often took a long time. Where other people were concerned, we had to drop the word blame from our speech and thought.
285. False pride. The alarming thing about pride blindness is the ease with which it is justified. But we need not look far to see that self-justification is a universal destroyer of harmony and of love. It sets man against man, nation against nation. By it, every form of folly and violence can be made to look right and even respectable. It would be a product of false pride to claim that AA is a cure-all, even for alcoholism.
289. When conflicts mount. Sometimes I would be forced to look at situations where I was doing badly. Right away, the search for excuses would become frantic. These, I would exclaim, are really a good man's faults. When that pet gadget broke apart, I would think, well, if these people would only treat me right, I wouldn't have to behave the way I do. Next was this. God well knows that I do have awful compulsions. Just can't get over this one. So, he will have to release me. And at last came the time when I would shout, this I positively will not do. I won't even try. Of course, my conflicts went right on mounting because I was simply loaded with excuses, refusals, and outright rebellion. In self-appraisal, what comes to us alone may be garbled by our own rationalization and wishful thinking. The benefit of talking to another person is that we can get his direct comment and counsel on our situation.
296. Daily inventory. Often, as we review each day, only the closest scrutiny will reveal what our true motives were. There are cases where our ancient enemy, rationalization, has stepped in and has justified conduct, which was really wrong. The temptation here is to imagine that we had good motives and reasons when we really hadn't. We can constructively criticize someone who needed it when our real motive was to win a useless argument. Are the persons concerned not being present, we thought we were helping others to understand him, when in actuality our true motive was to feel superior by pulling him down. We hurt those we loved excuse me. We hurt those we loved because they needed to be taught a lesson, but we really wanted to punish. We were depressed and complained we felt bad, when in fact we were mainly asking for sympathy and attention.
308, a way out of depression. During acute depression, avoid trying to set your whole life in order all at once. If you take on assignments so heavy that you are sure to fail in them at the moment, then you are allowing yourself to be tricked by your unconscious. Thus, you will continue to make sure of your failure. And when it comes, you will have another alibi for still more retreat into depression. In short, the all or nothing attitude is a most destructive one. It's best to begin with whatever irreducible minimums of activity are, then work for an enlargement of these day by day. Don't be disconcerted by setbacks. Just start over.